What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 0 Mile ADV, a true beginner's guide to adventure motorcycling. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to go talk about mastering your off-road riding skills as we go do some single track riding on the two-stroke. And if you haven't seen my video, one of the reasons that I plated my two-stroke is so that we can do what we are doing today, because it's about a 10-minute ride over to some fun single track before we can rip. And so that is the benefit of having a plate, is that we can do that. So we are going to do that today. But before we get into the video, today I am wearing the 0 Mile flannel and the over the boot pants. And yes, you can wear knee pads with these. I'm wearing my knee pads underneath these. I think I get these comments, questions weekly. I'm super excited that everybody loves the over the boot version, which is completely surprising to me because I thought everybody would want in the boot. I prefer in the boot, but I'm going over the boot today. We're going to throw them over our Garnier boots. So yes, they will fit over a motocross boot and you can wear knee pads under them. So with that, okay, everybody, welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to ride today instead of you sitting there at a talking head looking at my ugly face. So for all of you that want to just leave those comments below about how I am the worst rider in the world and you shouldn't learn anything from me, leave those comments below. And also shout out to all you KTM 890 Adventure R guys that have been leaving more comments on my video. I really appreciate it. I am excited that you've been doing 1,500 miles a day, you know, more than an iron butt challenge on that seat, and you're not having any problems, and you've got a concrete butt, and it's fantastic. I am super excited for you. I still don't think it's the best bike that's out there, so you still haven't changed my mind, but hey, I'm excited for you. If you're out there riding that thing, you gotta have fun, and this wouldn't be a 0 Mile video recently without giving a shout out to all of our KTM 890 Adventure R fanboys. So with that, let's get into today's topic. I'm definitely not a professional rider, and I'm definitely not here to teach you how to ride. If you've seen any of my videos, that is clear. I am not a good rider. I'm not that great. I'm trying. I'm having fun. This video is more about the mistakes I've made and what I've learned along the way in trying to get better. Whether that's slowly, quite awkwardly, I must say, and a lot of times with the bike on the ground and on its side. Because if you can learn from my mistakes, maybe you'll skip a few of your own and you'll get a little bit better a little bit quicker. So when I first started riding off-road, I'd watch a lot of training videos or follow drills that didn't really match the kind of riding I wanted to do. And I think my biggest mistake is that I had set a goal of riding the Colorado BDR. I was riding with a group. I was riding with Colorado Motorcycle Adventures. I didn't want to be a terrible rider and like hold the group up, and was really, really nervous about the whole thing. So I bought my Honda 450 RL, which I've done quite a few videos about, so check those out if you want to see some of that content. And I rode a lot of 50-inch and single track technical trails. I felt that if I could ride any of these really hard trails, then when it came to the BDR, it wouldn't be a problem. What I didn't realize is that all that slow single track work doesn't really translate to riding a bigger bike, and in that instance a middleweight bike. I was riding the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro, 40 to 50 miles an hour on fast, loose roads. And if you've watched my Colorado BDR videos, you'll notice that a lot of times I talk about it like, honestly, I wish I had a big bike, just because the speeds that we were going, it would have been far more comfortable. And especially New Mexico, again, I didn't practice the fast loose roads, and in New Mexico, I swear, they put 2 inches of gravel on all of their dirt roads, and so it is like riding in sand constantly, but it's just like thick, heavy sand, because it's like really thick gravel. But I didn't practice it, and so when I get out there, I was like having to learn and get comfortable on the fly. Now, had I just rode around town, because I have a lot of dirt roads here in Colorado, a lot of fast dirt roads, especially for the Colorado BDR, I could have ridden a lot of the dirt roads out here. I could have even practiced certain sections of those dirt roads so that I was more comfortable, which I absolutely should have done. So the mistake number one that I made is actually practicing without a purpose. And I had a purpose, but it was the wrong purpose. And so make sure you know what you're going to ride, what are your weak points, and then ride it. The good news is that when it came to like riding Hagerman Pass or some of these other technical things, I'd done so much technical riding that these areas didn't feel that technical, and I had a lot of fun on them. But the 90% of the VDR was challenging because it was fast, dirt, loose dirt roads, and I didn't do any of the practice on those. So, in short, without a clear goal, every ride will feel kind of like a random effort. You're not really sure what you're going out to do, but when you have a goal, every ride becomes practice, intentional, and focused. This will become far more important a little bit later on as we dig into this video a little bit better, a little bit more. I can't talk today. You should start to notice progress. So, you're getting smoother or faster, or you're getting better at carrying the weight, or whatever it is, whatever your specific goal is, you're getting better at those skills needed to kind of get you to where you want to be. And you should notice incremental effort, because again, it's not about riding harder, it's just about riding smarter. And we'll really dig into the science of this here a little bit later. Okay, so if you really want to fast track your progress, go get Chris Birch's Say No to Slow. It's an online course. I think it's like $30 or $35. It's absolutely worth it. He is far more qualified than I am, obviously, without saying. I shouldn't even have to say that, but I'm going to, because somebody in the comments will make some point about it. So, he is actually somebody who can teach you the basics of proper body position and acceleration and braking and all of the fundamentals of riding off-road. So I can't recommend it highly enough. Go check it out. Chris Birch is a world-class rider who somehow makes every lesson just feel super simple and approachable. And what I love about his course is that it's not just about technique, it's about a mindset and how to overcome, really get into riding and what you're trying to accomplish. He breaks things down into small, digestible steps, and every exercise has a clear why behind it and what you're trying to accomplish. And I can't understate enough that a lot of the basics I will still go back and rewatch. And before going to New Mexico, I went back through that video series and I started watching some of the things again and going out and practicing them on the dirt roads. However, as I mentioned earlier, I still made the mistake of not practicing loose dirt roads, which kind of came back to bite me in New Mexico a little bit. But not so much. I just figured it out. You kind of had to figure it on the fly. But again, my New Mexico would have been much better if I had far more skill set than just riding really deep, loose gravel roads. So again, if you want actual skill sets on how to learn how to ride, go get that video course. Step number 2, if you can, go on a group ride, and either an organized group ride by a local dealer or whatever the case may be is, and generally the person sweeping the ride will be pretty good, because they want confident, good riders leading and sweeping the ride. So, pro tip, and I've mentioned this, and I have mentioned this quite a few times before, ride in the back. Now you basically have a coach that will sit behind you, and you can ask them. So if you notice along the way, you struggled through a certain corner, it was a really flat, loose corner, and you struggled carrying speed through that, and you get to your next stopping point, you'd be like, hey, so, Steve, I heard you're a really good rider, you were behind me back there, I was struggling on that flat, loose corner, how can I get better at that? And they've been watching you and following you, so they should be able to help you nail that and give you pointers in real time, which is super, super helpful. So, now, digging into this idea of actually learning how to become an expert at something, I can't recommend, I've talked about this book before, I think it's called Peak Performance, or Peak, The Secret of Expertise, or something like that. I will put a screenshot of the cover of the book on here so you can go get it. I am not in any way affiliated with this book. I make no money off it, but I think it's absolutely amazing. it completely changed how I think about practice, not just on the bike, but in everything I do in life. Ericsson's research, it introduced the idea of deliberate practice, which means you just don't repeat things, but you practice things with attention, get feedback, and then focus on correcting your mistakes. And going back to my previous point, this gives you an opportunity to really deliberate practice if you go on a group ride in the back, have the sweep kind of give you corrections or feedback, and then on the next section, focus on just that one thing and get better at that one thing. So whatever it is, keeping your elbows out, not dragging your feet, keeping your knees in, dropping your heels, whatever the case may be is, get that feedback and get better. I think one other interesting thing that he found is there was not one case where he found that somebody was really good at something just because they had some sort of innate or natural talent. We hear a lot about people talking about like, oh, they have the genes or they have this. And actually there's another guy, Wolfgang Van Halen. He's the son of Eddie Van Halen, and he plays guitar. And I heard in an interview with him that he hates it. Everybody's like, oh, you've got those Van Halen genes. And he's like, no, actually I've got 20 years of hard practice to get where I am today. And I think that perfectly illustrates what Ericsson found in his research, is that nothing comes from just talent. It comes from structured, mindful repetition, pushing yourself just outside your comfort zone, and then refining. So again, you can use this in every aspect of your life. If you really want to hear all the examples, and we talk about classic examples like Beethoven and young Russian prodigy chess players and all the above, go check that book out. And I think it's just the perfect way to really dig into how to get anything, not just off-road riding, but good at anything in life. Okay, and last but not least, one more thing that made a massive difference for me, and I think this is ancillary if you have the ability or the opportunity, and it's dirt bikes. If you go back and look at any of my videos about learning to ride dirt bikes and anything I've done here, so many people have commented, I'm never going to complain when somebody's out riding dirt bikes to get better at riding off-road. They do make a big difference. If you have time and access to the trails, don't overlook how much a light dirt bike can improve your off-road gig. It makes a huge difference. It's not about just switching bikes, it's about learning faster. On a smaller, lighter bike, everything happens at a slower speed with lower mistakes. So as we saw in the first video when I rode this bike, I dumped it like 5 seconds, not even 200 yards into my first off-road trail. But again, I was able to fix the bike, cheap plastics, pick the bike up and keep going. So again, the lighter, smaller bike just makes everything happen at slower speeds with lower stakes. You can experiment, push the limits harder, and build muscle memory without worrying about dropping a 500-pound adventure bike. And I say that even though I love big bikes. I love big bikes, I cannot lie. Okay, but anyways, the skills transfer directly, your clutch control, your throttle discipline, reading the terrain. And this actually is one thing that's really helped me, two-fingering the clutch and always keeping it covered. I now do on the adventure bike. And I only did that because I started practicing on the dirt bike and it directly translated. So if I could go back, I would also, and I had the means, I would start here and I would have saved a lot of time and experience, potentially expensive moments. Although every time I dropped the bike, I never really had any problem because I always invested in the crash protection. Don't wreck your big bike, wreck the small bike, and then go out and have fun on the big bike. Alright guys, made it to the end. Thanks for sticking around for today's video. If you've made it this far, let's just recap. First things first, ride or practice what you're going to ride. Determine what your goal is, figure that out, and ride that kind of terrain. If you're not going to be riding a lot of single track and you don't have a lot of time to ride, it probably doesn't make sense to ride single track. 2, go get Chris Birch's Say No to Slow, because this is not about the specific techniques to help you get better. So if you're new, that's probably the best place to start. My mouth is so dry because it's actually pretty warm today. So let's try that again.
Yeah, get Chris Birch's Say No to Slow. It's like $30 or something. It's a whole video series that will give you the fundamentals of riding off-road and helping you to better master being able to ride off-road. Number 3, definitely get Peak Performance. I think Peak Performance is an amazing book for just life in general. It gives you the scientific blueprint of how to get good at things, and it will break down all of that stuff and get it into far more detail than what we talked about today. So definitely go pick up that book. And last but not least, if you have the time and the budget and the means, get a dirt bike, because when you ride stuff like this and you ride technical terrain, when you get out and you ride the harder terrain, easier terrain on a bigger bike, you're going to use the same skills and it's not going to seem as hard, and it is absolutely worth it. And so if you can, this a lot of people have talked about when I first got this dirt bike. Dirt biking will definitely make a huge difference. But again, I don't think it's the end all be all. Learn from my mistake. I dirt biked too much and I didn't spend enough time riding the ride I wanted to. And that was my biggest learning mistake. Be sure to check us out at zeromileadv.com. As you can see, I wear our stuff on dirt bikes too. Okay, so I'm out using it. I'm testing it. It's not marketing hype. So with that, check out zeromileadv.com. If you want to see my whole series about getting this dirt bike and what I learned about off-roading, riding skills, you can check out those videos here.